All right, gents, welcome back. So today we're going to go over what I consider a boo-boo kit. I've had some people ask, what is a boo-boo kit? A boo-boo kit is, probably call it a first aid kit, I guess, but it's basically minor scrapes, minor cuts, a little bit of cough, cold, boo-boos, right? Minor injuries or ailments. So what I use is a small Magpul DAKA pouch, and I just write boo-boos on it. I know what it is. It's relatively water resistant, and all this stuff can fit in this one little pouch pretty well. So getting into it, this is basically, like I said, for very minor things and a little bit of comfort. I'll keep some moleskin, Band-Aids, and like some basic over-the-counter stuff like ibuprofen or Tylenol, and a thing of Dayquil in my chest rig. That way I don't have to dig the old boo-boo pack out of my main pack. So going through it, a couple of hygiene things that I like to keep are some kind of dude wipes, baby wipes, whatever you have. I'll keep a couple of them in there, whether you're taking a shit or just want to clean yourself up a little bit. They're great to have on hand. I keep a small little cheap mirror. You may have to, pull a splinter out from somewhere that you can't really see very well on yourself, and the mirror can help for that. There's other uses for mirrors too, but that's primarily what I'll use it for. Most of the stuff is subdivided into different baggies. And this one here is just some Band-Aids. I've got regular Band-Aids. I've got some of the larger ones, fingertips, knuckles, just miscellaneous Band-Aids. When you're out doing things, a lot of times we'll get a cut and we don't really care about it. Maybe we'll wipe it off and just leave it open. In day-to-day life, grid up, everything's working well, that'll work just fine. If you do end up getting an infection, you just pop into the urgent care, hit up your PCP, and you can get some antibiotics. Best practices for, getting ready for a grid down type of event is every little boo-boo that you get should be addressed. It should be cleaned. You should put some type of antibiotic ointment on it and keep it covered, because little things can add up to be really big things. And the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So get into the habit of actually dressing your wounds appropriately when you're out, whether you're in the woods or you're doing some urban stuff, whatever it is, just make sure that you're keeping your wounds clean. It's a really good practice to get into. We'll probably come up here. So I have another baggie that all of this goes in, but I just wanted to kind of put it out to show you. Here I'll have some Afterbite. Where I'm at, they're like the state bird in the summer. And mosquito bites, just a comfort item to help with that a little bit. I'll also keep some Carmex and got a little roll of tape. What I like to do with the tape is I make a little dog ear, so that way, see if you can see it, dog ear it, so that way if you have gloves on or whatever, it's just easy. You don't have to keep, picking at the roll of tape to find the opening. You just have your dog ear. You can grab it and pull. These are kind of cool. These are very small little cough drops. I think they're like Hall's brand, but they're pretty small. I'm able to fit, quite a bit of them in there. If you're out there trying to be quiet and you're hacking and coughing, less than ideal. I keep some ibuprofen. I keep it in the form of ibuprofen 800s for pain. With that, I'll keep Tylenol. These are just the standard 500 milligram Tylenols. I just put them in little pill bags and label kind of what they are. Here, my allergy. This isn't meant for prolonged use. This is meant for, just kind of being out and about, doing whatever you're doing. So I'll keep a couple of Benadryl and 3 days worth of like a 24-hour Cetirizine or Zyrtec 24-hour allergy pill. 2 doses of Dayquil. That's definitely a big morale boost. If you are starting to get sick out there and you're doing something, taking some of those can help. They're also pretty good at helping you stay awake. So here, I know Minuteman Daily put out a thing about loperamide recently. Loperamide or Imodium, pick your antidiarrheal. It doesn't really matter to me what you decide to go with. Just have a why of why you pick what you pick. These guys here are loperamide, but antidiarrheals. If you drink dirty water, if you have ingest some kind of a foodborne illness, whatever you do to get yourself your GI upset, don't shit yourself to death. So I actually keep a good bit of these with me at all times. Foodborne illnesses are alive and well in the U.S. This isn't just a third world kind of a thing. We have salmonella outbreaks in this country all the time. So some form of antidiarrheal to keep you from shitting yourself. With that, for some upset stomach kind of stuff, I'll keep some Pepto. And then in the Boo Boo kit, I will keep some electrolyte replacements. I have plenty of liquid IVs in my pack that I'd be drinking as well if you are losing a bunch of fluid through diarrhea. Just making sure that you're replenishing the electrolytes and the fluids that you're losing. So a lot of times with these really bad diseases, when you look at influenza deaths, a lot of times you're basically just shitting yourself to death or you're vomiting. You got the double dragon going on. Shitting yourself, vomiting yourself to death, both bad ways to go. And you got to make sure that you're replenishing your fluids as best you can. So supportive care. I will keep some eye drops as well, because if you are rubbing your eyes out of their sockets and you're just scratching the hell out of your eyes because of allergies or whatever, these can definitely help. Because if you're sitting there rubbing your eyes, you're not really able to see much. I do also carry some Zofran, some ondansetron to help with nausea. And in the Boo Boo kit, I'll also carry some caffeine pills. And then your antibiotic ointments. I've touched on it before. Triple antibiotic does have a sulfa ingredient to it. I'm not allergic to sulfa, so that's fine for me. I can use it. But anytime you see triple antibiotic, one of the ingredients is a sulfa drug, which can cause some reactions. Hopefully not a big deal, but the neomycin sulfate in there can trigger a sulfa allergy. So if you do have that, just regular bacitracin works just fine. Make sure that you were covering your wounds, right? Just slapping some on, putting a little Band-Aid or something over it, keeping it clean. I do carry a couple of these in my chest rig as well, so if I do cut my hand or whatever, it's easy to just rip it off, smear some on your hand, put a Band-Aid on it, and keep going. Kind of free floating, because I use this pretty regularly, is moleskin. Keep a couple of patches of moleskin hanging around. I keep more in my chest rig. I keep more in my pack. In the pack with my socks, I have a little compartment for the socks. Fresh socks, sock liners as well if I think I need them, and moleskin as well as foot powder. So definitely important. You don't want to be getting blisters all over your feet. A tongue depressor. A million uses for a tongue depressor. You can make a little makeshift splint out of it with the tape. You can buddy tape your fingers, whatever you have to do. You can also use it for a million other things, but I keep a tongue depressor. Dermabond. This is like the medical grade super glue. So I'll keep a thing of Dermabond in there. It will seal up damn near every wound, little cut, scrape, whatever I have. It'll seal that up out when you're in the field. It works great. They are pretty expensive to get. If you get Dermabond brand, you can also look into getting Vet Bond, I think it is. And that comes in a little squirt bottle that looks kind of like a super glue. Basically the same thing. Super glue is fine if you want to use super glue. I'm sure that's not medical advice, but super glue works just fine. Make sure that you're not using like Gorilla Glue, the kind that foams on contact with water, because your blood, the majority of your blood is water. And I've had to scrub out wounds where a guy used Gorilla Glue and it looked really uncomfortable because it had foamed up. This pack here has some more wound care supplies. In there, I've got some Q-tips. I've got just some regular roller gauze, a couple of non-stick pads, some 4x4s. Tegaderm, I really like Tegaderm. You can cut your non-stick pads to size, cover them with some of the antibiotic ointment, and then use the Tegaderm to secure it. Works pretty well. I've used that quite a bit professionally, and it's worked out really well. This guy here is kind of a wound closure kit. I generally won't be carrying sutures around with me, but I will carry steri strips, and I will carry this one right here is called Closex, which is a suture replacement. I don't really know if I trust it as much as sutures, but you basically put it on either side of the wound and approximate it together. You just pull, and it closes the wound up pretty well. I've seen it used. It's worked pretty well. They are kind of spendy, but it is kind of a nice, non-invasive way to close up a decent laceration. With the steri strips, also got the tincture of benzoin to help it stick better, some alcohol prep pads, and let's see, got some iodine sticks to help clean, toenail clippers, and some splinter forceps. Being able to get the splinters out. The regular tweezers usually kind of suck at that. Get actual splinter forceps, and they work pretty well. I got these on Amazon. Majestic Bombay. And they work pretty well. Gotten all sorts of splinters out of my hands, from wood to metal, all sorts of different splinters, and they've worked out pretty well. So guys, it's not a whole lot. It doesn't add much weight to your pack, but it does give you quite a bit of comfort in being able to deal with, minor, very minor injuries and ailments. Help keep you going. And I really like these DAKA pouches. It fits well inside of it, and I just know that all the contents are in there all the time. I've seen guys that carry a lot more first aid stuff, and I've been guilty of it too. I've carried a lot of it over the years when I didn't have the knowledge of what I would really need, so I just brought the kitchen sink, and that really just weighs you down. So these are my bare minimums, and if you're looking to build one of these, look at your most likely use cases, the types of injuries that you're actually going to deal with on a regular basis, and kind of plan accordingly. Doesn't need to have everything. I don't need the 40,000 Band-Aids that come in those Johnson & Johnson first aid kits. I don't need a bunch of ice packs. I don't need, all the crazy shenanigans that come in there. Keep it simple. Keep it streamlined. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time.